Okay, hey Nikki, so good to see you.
Yeah, lovely to see you too, Nicole. Thanks so much for inviting me to speak with you today.
My pleasure. I was thinking the other day actually that it's been quite a few years since we've caught up, the last time being at Exit Festival. And you've just come back from Exit Festival.
Yeah, I have indeed. It's so lovely to reconnect with people after all this time. We're lucky that we do get to meet people from all around the world in our jobs, aren't we? So, Exit. It was one of the first major festivals that took place after the pandemic. So very honoured, an emotional experience to be there, because I feel like Exit's a family to me, because I've worked with them for, over 15 years, even just going to see them in the office and seeing people you've known for so long, thinking, do we hug, do we not? We're not supposed to in my country at the moment, but what are we doing? And it was all a bit like that, and there was definitely a few tears there. And I remember doing the first tour of the site with everyone, and when you first heard the dance arena sound system go off, and that was definitely a few tearful hugs then as well, because it was just like, gosh, we're really here now, this is really happening.
Almost like a feeling of being unchained.
Definitely, lots of hugs, lots of smiles, lots of emotions going on there. And I think after a while you just get so busy back into it, you forget, and you're just so busy, you're getting things done, you're moving around, you're meeting people. Normally we go to the dance arena stage on the last night, all the staff go and we stay till the end, and they normally let the DJ play a bit longer till 9 a.m. because they normally finish at 8. And this year we had Solomon, so he played till 10 a.m. So I was like, I'm gonna stay up for as long as I can, I don't care.
I was going to say, because I remember when I was working at Exit Festival with you, and I saw you working very hard to the wee hours of the morning. So, and I know that your passion for music started on the dance floor, which is like the best place to start. But do you still get the chance to get in front of the stages and to party? Obviously at this festival you did.
Yeah, definitely Exit is the one. Normally we finish doing the interviews and media stuff around 3 a.m. So then it's definitely, let's go and explore and have a dance and relax with your friends, to enjoy what you're there to help others enjoy, and to see the enjoyment of others, because that gives you, or me, really great satisfaction to see those smiley faces and to know you've been part of something that's given people so much joy, and myself, because sometimes we don't get the chance to have so much fun and we're too busy. But I think it's important. I think particularly this year it was really important to do that, and I think moving forward, I think I'll take note of that more.
Well, I mean, it's obviously not just a job for you. What do you like most about what you do?
Wow, that's a huge question. I mean, I suppose it does become your life, because your friend, the people you work with become your friends. They mean a lot to you, and it's all kind of intrinsically linked. I just couldn't imagine doing anything else. I love it being part of my life. Some people say, oh, well, why can't you go on holiday? Why do you always have to have your laptop? Why can't you not switch off? And I'm like, well, I've chosen that, and I know I can never switch off, and I'm always going to have to be helping others and taking late night calls or emails. But it is a lifestyle choice, isn't it? And to be part of that kind of scene and industry, I know that's going to happen, but but I kind of love it, and it is nice. It is kind of cheesy when everyone says it's our music industry family, but it is true. And particularly during the pandemic, of WhatsApp groups we've got where people who you work with are really connecting as a family and supporting everyone. And I think that's the bit to me, that the people, definitely, for sure.
And I mean, obviously you're in touch with a lot of the musicians. How have they been coping generally during COVID, and what can fans do to support them?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. We've heard a lot of DJs streaming, to try and still stay connected with their fans. It's hard for them. They've lost all their gigs. Some of them are making music, but as we've heard, lots of them don't make enough money through streaming or sales. I guess it's just, you know, staying engaged with them, trying to go to their gigs, you know, maybe buying some of their merch, you know, particularly the up and coming bands who are just starting out. Merch is a great way to support new bands. I think Bandcamp have a lot of, you know, vinyl and merch, you know, with the new bands coming. So definitely check out Bandcamp, you know, and I think it's, they've even launched the Black Bandcamp as well. So you can support Black artists too. So there's so many ways you can kind of support now, I think, you know, so I guess it's just being engaged, you know, keep following them on their social media, keep seeing what they're doing, you know, when you've got the chance to go and see them, I guess, go and see them.
Go see them, exactly. Okay, and Nikki, can you describe a little bit more about what Global Publicity does?
Yeah, sure. I guess we mainly do PR for events and festivals. So mainly abroad, because I love music and I love travel. So a great combination. So we mainly promote events abroad, you know, attracting international audiences from all across Europe. So obviously we mentioned Exit, but we also work on the Amsterdam Dance event and Lowlands Festival in Holland. I also work with some band-led events, which is Eurosonic Noorderslag, which is kind of like a showcase event for bands in Holland at the beginning of the year in January. So a lot of new bands play there. So it's great to discover what's hot and who's coming through there. And then just a lot of other festivals, you know, I do one in Iceland called Secret Solstice.
That's one I love the festivals that you promote. They're always unique and, you know, just such a great music holiday destinations.
Yeah, no, it's great to have something unique about the festival I work with. I think that's something I always look for. And also really liking the people you work with. I mean, you know what it's like, you know, as we mentioned before, we're working 24/7. There's a lot of hard work that goes into something before the event happens. So, you know, it can be really stressful too. So you've got to really like the people you're working with as well to kind of get through all the stress before the magic happens at the event.
Yeah, and you got to love music.
Yeah, and also when you're working on events, you know, there's different bands that play every year. So it's different every year, which also I love, you know. You know, sometimes you have, you know, big rap artists, big rock stars, you know, it's so diverse. And I think I really love that too.
Because I know you're very involved in the music industry. So aside from Global Publicity, what else are you doing to support music?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. I ended up working with the Nighttime Industries Association this year. I got introduced to them by a friend, Billy, who works for the Brighton Music Conference. Well, he runs the Brighton Music Conference. And it was at that moment where lockdown had happened. I think everyone was feeling lost, you know, and I got the opportunity to help send out some press releases for them, you know, to support the industry. And it really helped kind of give me a sense of purpose, because I was thinking, well, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what to do, but, you know, I can use my contacts and connections to help the industry, you know, to get messages out, to, you know, campaign for funding, more support, you know, help it with rent and insurance problems and all these things. So I've actually learned so much about the industry now and how you lobby government and all these kind of things in the background. And I found I really enjoy that side. So I think I've now ended up doing more with the NTIA, which is great. And I really hope that will continue, because I've really enjoyed that side of the industry, which I never thought I would. So, you know, maybe I'll do more of that kind of thing in the future. Who knows?
Wow. Okay. And who is involved in that organization?
Yeah, Michael Kill is a CEO and he runs it with his wife, Silvana Kill, and they have so many different initiatives under like Save Nightlife. They have like, they're doing lots of diversity and inclusion, supporting women in the industry, women's safety, you know, and they're there just to support everyone in the industry in the nighttime economy, you know, with their kind of issues. But, you know, they had the Let Us Dance campaign as well, which helped campaign for CRF funding, because electronic music nightclubs and venues businesses weren't eligible for the CRF funding before, so they did a massive campaign to fight for electronic music kind of culture and businesses, which was amazing. So, you know, they were able to get a lot of traction, and I've learned so much from working with the team, and yeah, I'm sure I'm going to learn even more.
And it sounds very rewarding if you're having those types of results.
Some of the work I'm doing with the Nighttime Industries Association, you know, they've been supporting a lot of people in the industry, and we have heard of, sadly, promoters or people in the industry who have sadly felt that the only way forward was to, you know, take their own life, which is so sad to hear because of all the financial debts they're racking up. They just feel there's no other option. So, you know, I don't know anyone personally, but we have heard of a lot of these stories, you know, and it's particularly men as well, which is, you know, really sad. And, you know, people need support. When we did some of the streaming with United We Stream, we partnered with Grassroots, which is actually a charity for suicide prevention, because they're based in Brighton. So we were helping raising money for them as well. And you've probably seen a campaign that's gone online using Keith Flint's image that the Prodigy are behind to support a suicide campaign at the moment as a charity supporting that. So that's kind of just went online, I think yesterday, supported by the Prodigy. So, you know, it's quite topical at the moment.
Yeah, you know, I mean, so like, again, just as an industry there, unfortunately, we've lost so many people so unnecessarily, very sad. But also, yeah, just close friends of mine in the industry as well that, as you said, you know, felt the need that was the only option. And a lot of the time, as we know that, you know, it's a permanent fix to a temporary problem. Because as you were saying, it's so sad to see that it's mostly men, because the society doesn't allow them that comfort of talking about it.
No, so true. So it's learning to be more open and talk about all these issues, isn't it? I suppose it's, you know, directly linked to mental health and those things, and being more open and talking about those issues as well, which has, you know, come into more prominence, you know, this year, you know, mainly through the pandemic. It's come to the forefront and been accepted to talk about it. So I think the more we keep talking, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I have to go back to Exit. Obviously, it's one of my favorite festivals. So what was it like there? And did you see much of a difference caused by COVID? How many people attended?
Yeah, well, it was actually all the restrictions had been lifted. So it actually went ahead as normal, but with different restrictions for entry. Obviously, you know, me as an international festival goer, I had to show my negative PCR test that I used to enter the country to gain my credentials to work at the festival. I mean, really, I don't know how they did it. They were amazing, the team, because if you think they had people from, like, I think it was 70 different countries going there, and there are different restrictions or rules for people entering Serbia from different countries. So there was different regulations for if you were coming from Macedonia, as you were coming from France, or if you're coming from the UK. So they had to kind of gather all this info and then figure out, you know, okay, so once they've entered the country, what do we ask for, you know, when they get their passes? So there was all this extra organization they had to do. You know, and then obviously it's leaving the country as well, helping people get their tests and things to leave. You know, I had to get a PCR test. I think some of the German journalists needed antigen tests. So there's all these extra complications on top of putting on a normal festival in much less time than you normally would, because you're still waiting. Can we happen? Can we not? Can we happen? Can we not? So, you know, the team did an amazing job to make it work. And also, I think there was a study after the festival. I can't remember roughly the number. I think one of the Serbian health organizations did it, and they tested some people who were vaccinated and unvaccinated, who went in with, they went with tests to see who, you know, caught COVID or was positive after the festival. And I think they only had about 10 positives. So they were really low infection rates considering the capacity. I think they had I think it was 42,000 on the first night. And I think it kind of went up to about 48,000 on the Saturday.
Yeah, look, I mean, it speaks volumes of how great Exit is, that so many people were willing so soon after lockdown to get out of their countries, fly to a foreign country with all of these different challenges because of COVID, just to get to the festival. I mean, it just would have been so great to be there.
Oh, no, you're right. You know, and I think part of the enjoyment of going to a festival is the mission it takes to get there, isn't it? You know, we know Serbia is not the easiest country to get to anyway. There's not as many flights as, you know, maybe to other places. So often you have to fly, you know, via another country. I think I was on Swissair via Zurich, for example, you know, because there aren't often the the direct flight. So the fact that you get there with all this extra paperwork and, you know, forms to fill in, you know, that you got there and you did it. So yeah, so to be part of that was amazing.
Yeah. And so you said, I think you might have mentioned before, how many years have you worked with Exit and what kind of growth have you seen over those years?
Gosh, well, I think I've worked there since 2004. So quite a long time, and, you know, definitely seen it evolve and grow, you know, to the numbers of international visitors going, the numbers of stages grow. You know, you've seen how the stage lightings and things have evolved, you know, probably things like health and safety and more barriers in certain places than when I first went. You know, but the mix of people has remained the same. And also the Serbian people, they make the festival, you know, they love to party, they party all night, and, you know, those local people make the festival as well, because they create.
And they're just so approachable and welcoming and friendly, and
so the Serbian people, they create the vibe and the energy that us as international visitors love, you know, and want to experience when we're going there. So they definitely make it.
Okay, so for anyone who's considering going to Exit, how would you describe Exit to them?
Oh, wow. Well, it's a festival in a fortress that overlooks the River Danube. And one of the best things is when you're walking over the bridge from Novi Sad, looking up to the fortress, and you think, wow, I'm going to be going there. So the kind of walk to it and the entrance is quite spectacular and awe-inspiring. You know, and it's just the atmosphere. It's just different to other festivals. It's kind of, you know, really unique in that way. And I suppose one of the best moments is how the sun rises over the fortress walls at about 4:30 a.m. in the dance arena. So always have your shades at all times. You know, and when the sun comes up, that's just such a magical moment when you're going from night to day. And as we said, the Serbians love to party. They do not leave, and they'll be there till 8-9 a.m. until you force them to leave. And the way that atmosphere happens and how that happens is quite unique, because you know, often you go to festivals, everyone's leaving going, right, how do I get the bus home or train home, got to leave now, and places start emptying. But not Exit. They will keep going into the blistering heat of the Serbian sunshine till, you know, midday if you let them. But yeah, it's got to be the atmosphere. That's definitely the thing I would say.
And how many days does the festival go for again? Is it 5?
It's 4. And because it's because it's a nighttime festival, you know, you've got to go from 8 till 8 a.m. till, you know, for 4 days, you know. And sometimes when we take journalists there, they're like, this is quite tough going, because, you know, because it's a night festival and they're not kind of used to that. So it can be quite tiring, but definitely worth it.
I mean, and how's that dance arena? I think it was the last final night of the festival actually, and maybe 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning. And it was wild.
It just never changes. It, you know, it continually surprises me how it always seems to get better and that people don't leave. I mean, I think this year, because people were coming back after the pandemic, you know, I've never seen a crowd jump and dance and be so crazy ever. So when you're dancing kind of on stage, watching the crowd, I was just buzzing off them, you know, watching the crazy outfits, and the energy from them just kept me going for sure. It was a delight to see.
Yeah, I remember that as well. I mean, it's unforgettable. So anyone that's about going to a festival, they must try Exit. It's I tell everybody, it's just such a special place. I think there are I can't remember how many stages, but there are a lot of stages, so many different musicians, fantastic like cobblestone archways, and, you know, shops and food stalls and just chill out areas. I mean, it's just endless as to what you can get up to. And as you said, the people, not just the Serbians, but even just the type of people that it tends to attract from all over the world are so friendly, and it's just a very great place.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. You have to come back.
Oh, I'm back there, definitely. I was, the whole time it was happening this year, I was like, I want to be there, but next year for sure. And I know a lot of other people that are saying the same thing. So on the topic of festivals, I mean, now that the lockdown is finally over, what kind of vibe are you feeling in the industry?
I mean, everyone's really excited, but I think there's still a bit of caution because, we're hearing in other countries how, other countries aren't opening like they are in the UK. Others are now putting back and closing up again. You've probably heard, in Holland, they put festivals back until can't happen until kind of mid-September. So a lot of the events I worked on were sadly cancelled, which is really sad for them. I think Belgium's only just started reopening. So every country's different. So although in the UK we're quite fully open and things are happening, we're still very mindful that other countries are still maybe not able to reopen as much. So we're not out of this yet. So I think, cautiously excited, I think is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah. And do you think that there will be any long-term effect on the music festival scene because of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the UK that there's been a huge demand. As soon as things were back, ticket sales were, really high. The demand was there. Everything seems to be selling out and going well. Obviously it remains to be seen in autumn because lots of events moved back. So there was a lot of competition, very busy with lots of things going on. So we'll have to see later in the year if they were successful and there wasn't too much for people to do, if you like.
Yeah.
Sadly, we may lose some of the some of the independent festivals. Maybe they didn't have enough budget or money in the bank to tide themselves over. So I'm really hoping some of the smaller events can still continue next year and we don't lose them because, they're some of the most creative, of the festivals and they cater for more niche, audiences. So, I really hope they can pull through as well as the big guys.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we all support them as well and remember to get out to those festivals as well if they're on. And so what festivals do we have to look forward to, coming up over the next 6 months? Anything that you're working on?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got the Brighton Music Conference in September, which is kind of like a UK version of kind of IMS ADE, a little bit smaller in Brighton where I live. So that's super exciting. Then obviously ADE in October, that's coming up. And then there's another event I work on in Holland called Eurosonic Noorderslag in January, which is the showcase, band showcase festival I mentioned. So, a couple of things in Holland, but they're the main things I'm going to be kind of working on. And then I'll probably sneak off to a few things to enjoy myself too. So we had Carl Cox playing on the beach in Brighton recently. So we went along to that, which was really cool. So, I'm definitely going to be booking to see some bands, go out with my friends and support some of those venues. I know there's been the issue of guest lists and things where, people have said about guest lists. Well, I've always tried to say, well, look, if there's a paying guest list, I'd rather do that because yes, it's nice to be VIP, but, I want to still contribute. Because we know people are having hard hits. So I think a paid guest list is the way forward.
But yeah, I think it's just really important that everybody supports them as much as possible because it's been such a hard time for them during COVID.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been watching what's been going on in Australia with the different lockdowns in Melbourne and Sydney. You were doing so well and then suddenly there's these snap lockdowns, which is so sad. I've been enjoying Anthony Papper's streams from different locations, seeing the beautiful city though, so that's been fun. And also I think we were working with Jane on United We Stream Australia, where we were working with a lot of streams and cross-posting for them to support some of their fundraising they were doing for the Australian scene. So you should definitely check out what United We Stream Australia are doing.
Okay, I definitely will, yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's probably why you say that you're cautiously excited, because when you see how well Australia was doing and then suddenly to be in this position and all the festivals getting closed down again when we didn't think it was going to happen. So it's hard to know what's around the corner.
No, totally. And that's why I was at Exit enjoying every moment till 10 a.m. because I was like, I never know when I'm going to do this again. So it's important to make sure, we do enjoy it more and not just see it as work and getting on with it. So I think, that's given me a different mindset to make sure I do enjoy the things I'm working on more because we can't take it for granted.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with what we've been through. And so are there any other music festivals in Europe that you recommend that that are coming up?
Ones I would definitely recommend you check out maybe next year is probably Ziget Festival in Hungary.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful in Budapest. It's on an island in the middle of the river Danube again. So any festival on the Danube, clearly good.
Yeah.
You know, there are lots of really good ones. You know, I've heard Mad Cool in Madrid is really, really good.
Wow,
And
I've heard of
obviously
that one.
Primavera is another one people talk about in Barcelona. For the, you know, electronic music fans, they should definitely check out probably Sonar in Barcelona as well.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we went over to Exit Festival with you last time, and all of the festivals, I think you had some in Poland, Germany. There was just such a variety. I remember just thinking, we've got to go to all of these festivals. So
yeah, and that's what I mean. It's great because when you travel to a festival, it's a bit like a, you know, weekend kind of holiday, you know, break, you know, festival holiday, but you also get to learn about the culture of that place because you meet so many people, the food, you know, so it isn't just, you know, you're going to go crazy at a festival, you know, you get to learn about the culture and places, you know, somewhere maybe you wouldn't think of traveling to otherwise unless the festival was there. So, you know, good for tourism too.
Absolutely, yeah. And Serbia was a great example of that. I didn't think to go to Serbia. It's now one of my favorite places. But it was Exit Festival that pulled me there, of course. Yeah, I had a really good trip even before and after the festival as well. So is there anything else on the side of Global Publicity that you're doing?
Well, I guess I had a lockdown project like most people, you know, didn't quite do Tom Daly knitting, but you know, I did a podcast like a lot of people did. So I used to work on the radio when I was younger. You know, I did student radio, and I always thought I wanted to be on radio, but then ended up working kind of behind the scenes because I didn't really want to be in the limelight, famous or anything. So I kind of went back to my audio and radio roots, and I decided I wanted to interview people to shine a light on people I work with in my career. You know, maybe people who don't always get interviewed, but you've worked with and you think their talent should be kind of, you know, showcased. So I decided to call it Meet Me Backstage. And the rule of thumb is that I only interview people I've actually met and I've worked with. So it isn't just picking all the biggest names, it's picking people that I have a connection to. So I think I've done about 10 episodes so far. So I did one of those online courses, you know, you learn to edit, you learn to do it. So yeah, maybe check it out. So that was one of my little projects. So obviously it's quite time consuming, so trying to have the time to keep doing it. So I'm going to try and do one every month from now on. So still working on that. So you have to let me know what you think.
And how did you, I know that you were more sort of in front of the stage, on dance floors, etc. How did your passion for music turn into a career?
Wow, gosh, that's probably interesting question. Well, when I was at school, you know, I was kind of listening to Kiss FM when it was a pirate, and then it kind of went mainstream into an FM station, and you know, you had kind of like Dave Pearce, Judge Jules, Danny Rampling, all those kind of artists on at the time that I was listening to. And they had a competition on the radio station to win a radio rig to your school. And me and my friend Seema, we decided to enter the competition, and we sent a schoolgirl kissogram to Dave Pearce. And we had and we made her read a poem about why we thought we should win. And we won. So we had a rig to our school, and they taught us how to make a show and talked about different careers in the industry. And I think it was Graham Gold, who was one of the breakfast show presenters at the time. He said, oh, because you've organized this, you did this, maybe you should think about a career in promotions. So I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. So that's kind of what kind of sparked the thought to kind of do that eventually. And then I knew that's always what I wanted to do. So I went to uni in Manchester, studied media and business there, and then basically had to come back and work my way up from the bottom. So I started as a receptionist at V2 and worked my way up, and I guess never looked back. But yeah, always something I wanted to do. So I guess thanks to Kiss FM for kind of introducing me to, you know, dance music and getting me into that scene. Yeah.
Oh, what a cool story. I love that. And when did you decide to branch out and do your own thing?
I think that was about 2007. I'd been working for a DJ agency at the time, which actually I have a lot to thank for. So, you know, Rachel Birchwood was an amazing woman running her own business at the time, someone you could look up to. So it was, you know, great learning from her experience working for a woman in the industry. And I guess it opened my eyes to what was going on internationally, because, you know, one of my jobs was to get the DJs PR around the shows they were doing, you know. So, you know, I was very lucky to work with people like Pete Tong, Smoking Joe, Danny Howes, you know, and you're seeing the gigs they're doing every week, you know. So, you know, you're opening your eyes to the festivals and the clubs and the scene that they're kind of playing at. And that's actually how I ended up working with Exit Festival. Because I remember having to liaise with my boss and be the go-between. I think they were discussing a private jet situation for Pete Tong, and I remember, because I was always the one who asked the phone, in the end I think the guy from Exit ended up saying, so, well, what do you do then? So I was talking about I do PR for the DJs, and he said, oh, well, maybe we should chat, maybe you should do PR for the festival. So, you know, having that conversation and being there in that moment, you know, helped me get into the world of working with festivals. So
it just sounds like it was meant to be, and the right doors opened at the right times.
Yeah, so it was really amazing learning about those things. So I guess if I haven't been in that job learning about those things, you know, I would never have been doing what I'm doing today. So, you know, I do owe a lot to working with some of those people and them helping me. So, and it was great to work for another woman too. So
for anybody who's wanting to find out about new festivals coming up and festivals that you're promoting, how do they follow you?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm used to telling people to follow my festivals to check out what's going on. But, you know, if you want to follow any of the Global Publicity social media pages, you're welcome to do so. You can check out the website where we have a news page where you can see updated press releases there, you know, or you can check me out on Instagram and maybe hit me up with a message if you want some help with something.
Well, it's so good to catch up with you, Nikki. I'm actually going to be in London either September or October, so I may come down and check out the Brighton conference.
Yeah, definitely. I'll give you the dates, but yeah, definitely let's even hook up for a drink or something while you're here, for sure.
Definitely. So I'll definitely reach out and we'll catch up. But yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to catch up with us today.
No, yeah, no, thanks for asking me. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Nicole.
Chat soon. Thanks, Nikki.